Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation, precious metals manipulation crackdown, and how you can help. Let's explore! People talk about silver price manipulation all the time, even more so than gold manipulation, but many people believe there's gold manipulation as well. The reality is there's manipulation in all of the precious metals that are traded on the COMEX and the LBMA, and in the reality, there's manipulation of all commodities, for sure, but nonetheless, the focus for many of us in this community is precious metals, and we know it happens. I've covered it on this channel for years. Now, where I differ from most of the community is my skepticism about a conspiracy to keep the precious metal prices down, or price suppression, what I refer to as macro manipulation. In other words, manipulation by a cabal of bankers and entities and financial institutions to keep the price of silver especially low. However, with that being said, I'm becoming a little bit more open-minded to it, and I may actually take action on what I'm about to reveal to you here momentarily. A little bit of research that I've done as we look at all of these different metals, the most popular would be silver and gold here, but also platinum is something that has become much more understood to be undervalued. Many people think that its price may be suppressed because of the retooling that is probably about to happen from palladium to platinum auto-catalytic converters. Nonetheless, all of these metals here, as you can see from this image, pretty interesting and amazing. These are PAMP bars of all 5 of the precious metals that are traded. And see if you can pick out which ones are which. I have an idea of what's where, but it might be difficult to describe in the comments section. I'll let you do that, but we know that's gold, so we can take that out of the mix. Of course, the lighting is something different here, but I have a general idea of what these others are. So I'd be very curious to see what you think. You can say upper right, lower left, lower right, center, that type of thing to describe what metal you think is where. It might be a fun little exercise, but nonetheless, let's refer to an article here in my research from financefeeds.com. Now, this case is about the fine or the order to pay $150,000 for spoofing, and it's for 2 individuals from Deutsche Bank. Mostly you hear me talk about JP Morgan, but now this is moving to other entities and organizations, and we are seeing here what's occurring is what I refer to as micro manipulation. In other words, people trading and engaging in illegal activity in order to profit themselves, and that can go either way, up or down. We know it happens. It needs to be handled, and it needs to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law for these activities, and it looks like we're seeing that here. The U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois issued final judgments and consent orders against James Vorley and Cedric Chanu, former precious metal traders, for spoofing and engaging in a deceptive or manipulative scheme. Judge Stephen C. Seeger ordered a $150,000 civil monetary penalty on each defendant, a 5-year ban from trading on or subject to the rules of any registered entity, and from registering with the CFTC in any capacity. The defendants have agreed to settle without admitting or denying the charges against them. Now, that's pretty interesting. So they have been banned from trading. I think that's a good step. The $150,000 civil monetary penalty is definitely a step in the right direction because it's applied to each individual here. Although I do think it should be a bit more. It's more likely they did profit a lot more from this. And, and who knows, they might get into some other kind of trading with some other entity. I don't think they should be trading at all under any financial institution if this is the case for 5 years or maybe even more. But my feeling is these penalties should be stiff, and I think also 30 days of jail it would not be inappropriate in this matter. So here's what happened. There was spoofing on the COMEX gold, silver, platinum, and palladium futures. So there you go, folks. It happens across the board. They don't care. If these individuals engage in it, they don't care which metal they're holding down or propping up. They just want to profit themselves. The case stems from a CFTC complaint filed against James Vorley and Cedric Chanu on January the 26th, 2018. According to the regulator, from approximately July 2011 through July 2013, Vorley and Chanu each placed orders for COMEX, gold, silver, platinum, or palladium futures contracts that they wanted to get filled. In other words, these were genuine orders, and entered orders for the same contract on the opposite side of the market that they intended to cancel before execution. That's spoofing, folks. The spoof orders were proof that Vorley and Chanu intentionally or recklessly sent market participants signals of greater supply or demand to create the misimpression that the gold price would move up or down, and trick market participants to transact on smaller, genuine orders that they place on the opposite side of the market. So this is working both ways, folks, both ways. This is what has been talked about, and you've heard me refer to this in previous stories with JP Morgan. And this is what's happened on both directions, up and down. And so this is where we are at, is what has been prosecuted, which means it may be a much more difficult case to make for suppression. But we'll talk about that momentarily. The defendants constituted spoofing in a deceptive or manipulative scheme. CFTC Acting Director of Enforcement Vincent McGonigal said the enforcement action demonstrates the CFTC's commitment to aggressively pursuing individuals who spoof in our markets. As this case shows, we will continue to work vigorously to hold individuals accountable, and not just the companies that employ them, for misconduct in our markets. Now that is a key difference here, because as you saw, you've heard me talk about how JP Morgan was fined $980 million. That's a drop in the bucket, really, compared to what they make each year. And individual accountants, may be prosecuted, but it needs to go to the individuals as well, and also those above them, I think, should be held accountable as well, too. No, they may not know what's going on, but they need to have their own inner office, mechanisms for discovering this kind of stuff. I believe they can do it. I really do. But nonetheless, James Vorley and Cedric Chanu were precious metal traders at Deutsche Bank in London, and in 2021, they were each sentenced by a federal jury in the Northern District of Illinois to 1 year and 1 day in prison for their fraudulent trades. Wow, there you go. So prison time, finally. Neither Mr. Chanu or Mr. Vorley served the sentences. Oh, dang it. Since the district court ordered them free on bail pending their appeal of their convictions, which remains pending. They placed numerous fraudulent precious metal orders on exchanges in New York, Singapore, and Hong Kong, and canceled them just before execution. Deutsche Bank agreed to pay more than $130 million to settle charges concerning spoofing cases, as well as for paying bribes to third parties to secure business deals in Asia and the Middle East. So there that is. And fascinating indeed. In fact, here from the CFT website itself, they actually posted a little press release about this and talked about this situation. So the information here is even down to the enforcement staff responsible for this case, talking about there. So now this is a very interesting thing that I think is a wonderful thing that the CFTC is doing here. Customers and other individuals can report suspicious activities or information such as possible violations of commodity trading laws to the Division of Enforcement via a toll-free hotline. That's 1-866-366-2382. File a tip or complaint online or contact the whistleblower office. Whistleblowers are eligible to receive between 10 to 30% of the monetary sanctions collected paid from the CFTC customer protection, fraud, finance through monetary sanctions paid to the CFTC by violators of the CEA. So there we go. There's the ways that we can report it. In fact, one of the things that I would like to know is these massive dumps of the contracts within seconds that cause the price to go down. We may see one tonight. Actually, as I record this video, it is a Sunday, and we do a market watch, and we watch the trading in real time. Well, at least from what Kitco has. There are other websites that we've looked at that show live trading, and sometimes there's a lot of dumps that happen right at the beginning and opening of the markets when people aren't paying attention, although we pay attention right when they open up every Sunday night. So we've seen some pretty interesting things occur here, and my viewers have been very good about pointing some of this stuff out kind of as it happens, and we've seen it happen. And it really has made me question my feelings or thoughts about this particular practice. In other words, price suppression. Were the massive amounts of contracts dumped in a matter of a minute? What's going on there? Now, there may be a logical explanation for it. I just don't know what it is. And so I would be inclined to screenshot something like that and maybe send it to this organization, file a tip or call the number. And maybe they can say, well, no, this is completely legitimate because of this or that. And I want to be open-minded about it because there may be a completely legitimate reason for it. Is it one of those things where trades are made, over Friday and they can't get to them, and so they where there's a lot of selling that may have occurred on Friday and they just don't get to those, and they happen to occur right at the beginning of their next trading session, which would be in Hong Kong on Sunday night in this particular case. But nonetheless, what is happening during other hours overnight? What is happening during business hours here in the United States? I mean, it's a global market here, and there's multiple different. And the Commodities Futures Trading Commission is concerned mostly with what happens here in the United States, but obviously, there's other areas that have to be looked into. So I don't know what the trading laws are in Hong Kong, and that could cause that or what have you, but it's something to look into, and it may not hurt to at least inquire or to report anything that looks suspicious. And that includes us. We are the other individuals. We may not even be customers, but we could be customers if we're buying ETFs and the like. But this is our way that we can help. And I think the best way to do it is if you see something like this, report it directly to the CFTC. I know there is, not as familiar with them, but Arcadia Economics, that individual, I think, has used to work in trading and has raised some legitimate questions, and I think they should be answered. And I would encourage him and others to call this number or to send these tips. Now, who knows? Will they listen? I don't know. If you bring it and show it about there as a way, there's an education, maybe they're inclined to give an example of why or why not it's not illegal, whatever activity that could be. And if there's legal activity, that seems suspicious and needs to be changed, maybe the law should be changed. So we'll see. But nonetheless, no matter what your feelings are about macro or micro manipulation, one thing is for sure, if the prices are low, it provides an opportunity to buy these metals when we get a chance here: silver, gold, platinum, and even palladium. And so that is something we can look forward to. Lower prices means more for us, and we can be our own central banks for sure. But nonetheless, many feel that gold and silver are undervalued, and platinum as well too. And so, what that value should be, who knows? There's different theories out there about that as well. I hope you found this video interesting, insightful. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.